On the morning of October 6, 1995, a 15-year-old girl left her home in Eindhoven, Netherlands, to cycle to her job at a local bakery. She followed the same route she took every morning, a route familiar, predictable, routine. But along that route, something interrupted her journey. Her bicycle would never reach the bakery, and she would never be seen alive again. The crime was not spontaneous. The conditions of the early morning, low visibility, isolated streets, and a lone teenage cyclist created an opportunity that a violent offender exploited. Years later, DNA technology would identify a man whose past aligned with the nature of the attack, a man whose history of violence overlapped with the timeline. What happened that morning would lead investigators down a path that stretched more than 20 years, and the truth would not surface until long after the crime itself. What began as a routine commute would become one of the Netherlands' most debated cold cases.
Nicole Van Den Hurk, age 15 years old, residence Eindhoven, North Brabant, Netherlands. Nicole lived with her mother and stepfamily. She had recently experienced family changes, including a relocation and the separation of her parents. Despite emotional challenges, she remained active and social. She attended school, maintained friendships, and held a part-time job at a local bakery. She was known for being friendly, energetic, and independent for her age. Her mornings followed a consistent pattern: wake early, get ready, cycle to work. Nothing in her routine suggested risk. Nothing suggested that October 6th would be different. But her predictable schedule created an opening someone could exploit. Nicole's vulnerability was situational. She was young. She traveled alone. She cycled before sunrise along isolated areas. There is no evidence she knew her attacker, no evidence of prior contact, no indication she was specifically targeted as an individual. Instead, investigators concluded her attacker likely acted on opportunity. Her predictable morning schedule created a moment that a violent offender could exploit. It was the routine itself, not her personal life, that exposed her to danger. In the days leading up to October 6th, Nicole followed her normal routines. There were no warnings, no reported conflicts, no suspicious individuals noted around her home or workplace. Her consistent route and timing created a window where the offender could act without detection. With little traffic and no early morning witnesses, the abduction could occur quickly. When Nicole failed to arrive at work, concern escalated within hours. Her employer contacted the family contacted police. Early searches revealed no immediate signs of where she had gone. The absence of early evidence suggested the offender had acted swiftly, leaving little behind. Nicole left home shortly after 5 a.m. She cycled toward the bakery as she did regularly. She never arrived. Search teams mobilized within hours. They later recovered her bicycle in the canal, some personal belongings separated from her, no direct evidence of the abduction site. For 6 months, her fate remained unknown. On April 22, 1996, human remains were discovered in the woods near Lierop, about 20 kilometers from Eindhoven. They were confirmed to be Nicole's. Because of decomposition, the precise cause of death could not be determined. However, forensic indicators of sexual assault were documented. Her disappearance was no longer a mystery. Only her killer remained unidentified.
There is no verified evidence that Nicole ever encountered her killer before the morning she disappeared. The circumstances of her abduction were consistent with a sudden, opportunistic attack committed by a stranger. During the initial 1995-1996 investigation, several men were questioned. Among them was Jos de G, whose name surfaced early due to his documented history of violent and sexual offenses. His background aligned with the type of offender capable of such an attack. Police considered him a prime suspect, but the evidence available at the time was insufficient. DNA technology could not produce a usable profile. There were no witnesses, no forensic traces connecting him to the crime, no grounds to prosecute. As a result, the case went cold, and Jos de G was never charged during the original investigation. It would take more than 16 years and a complete forensic review to confirm the significance of his early appearance in the case. Initial investigative efforts in 1995-1996 were extensive but limited by forensic technology of the time. With no strong suspects and no eyewitnesses, the case gradually went cold. But Nicole's family, especially her stepbrother Andy Van Den Hurk, did not let the case fade. For years, Andy advocated publicly for police to revisit the investigation, emphasizing advancements in forensic science. His frustration grew as the case remained dormant. In 2011, Andy made a controversial move. He posted a false confession on social media, claiming responsibility for Nicole's disappearance. This confession drew immediate national attention. Police opened an investigation into his statements. Within days, they determined the confession was fabricated. Andy later explained his motive. He believed only a public shock would force authorities to reopen the case. The strategy worked. Later that year, investigators announced they would exhume Nicole's remains for advanced DNA testing. The exhumation produced a critical breakthrough. Male DNA was successfully extracted from Nicole's remains and clothing. This DNA profile matched Jos de G in the national database. Interviews conducted afterward revealed inconsistencies between Jos de G's statements and the forensic evidence. Andy's actions, however unconventional, triggered the forensic review that ultimately identified the offender. January 2014, police arrested Jos de G. He was charged with rape and murder. 2016 trial findings? DNA was central to the prosecution's case. Defense argued contamination and insisted the encounter was consensual. The court ruled that sexual contact had occurred and was non-consensual. Due to decomposition, the court stated murder could not be conclusively proven. 2016 verdict: guilty of rape, not guilty of murder. Sentence: 5 years. The prosecution appealed. 2018 appeal verdict: the court found sufficient evidence to convict manslaughter. Sentence increased to 12 years. The appeal court connected her death directly to the violent assault. The legal process ended more than 20 decades after Nicole first disappeared. Nicole's case highlighted how early investigative limitations can delay justice for years. It also showed how advancements in DNA technology can fundamentally change the course of a cold case. Her family's persistence, especially Andy's relentless push, became central to reopening the investigation and obtaining a conclusive forensic result. The case contributed to broader discussions in the Netherlands regarding preservation of biological evidence, the importance of re-examining cold cases, the role of family advocacy, limitations of 1990s investigative methods. Nicole Van Den Hurk's story remains a testament to how long justice can take and how determination, science, and time can converge to uncover the truth. Her case continues to remind investigators that even decades-old evidence can still speak. Stay tuned as we uncover and dive into more gruesome and shocking cold cases that'll keep you on your toes.